Hey, how's it going, boys? What is up? Source back once again for another anniversary draw set, or Anytix in short. Oh boy, okay. I hope you are ready for this, because this is probably gonna be another super nice long video. Alright, so how am I gonna do this? Good question. I have no idea how I did this from before, but we're gonna do it again. So I guess the plan is we're gonna go through every single element. Fuck me for that. So I'm gonna go through every single element. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put those I'm gonna put a timestamp in the description as well, just so if you don't give a shit about a specific element, you can just jump to a specific element. Yeah. Besides just elements, what I'm really gonna do is that I am just really gonna point out mostly seasonal characters. By seasonal characters, I mean like Christmas, Halloween, summer, Valentine, yada yada yada, all those ones. Okay. I am going to mention some grand characters as well, but I don't think I'm really going to mention every single one of those characters, just because that yeah, because I just think that's kind of pointless, because I would really think that end of the day, Anytix is really just one of those tickets where you would probably be better off picking a seasonal character rather than a grand, because yeah, because you know, grand comes every now and then, every month, so kind of pointless to aim for it, right? So yeah. Besides that, the most I'm probably going to mention about grand characters is that I will only mention the newly included ones, which is the I think 2020 characters, because they usually have like a 1-year gap. They don't really add like you can't really pick any grand characters from last year, like 1 year ago release, or even this year for that matter, obviously. So for example, like Naru, Nehan, Poseidon, Leech, yeah, those characters are not included in this say draw set, but they should be next year, so just wait for it, lol. Or if not, just go Spark, right? Yeah, it's just Spark them, easy, dude. Just wait for the upcoming 100+ roulette discount thing and just Spark there or some shit. Yeah. And I'm gonna try and go through as much as possible, but if I go through like a specific character, like this guy here, if it's shit, I'm just gonna say it's shit and just go on next, okay? I don't really want to stay too long on a specific character, okay? Okay. And also another disclaimer is that I think what you should also do is that you should try to only pick this Anytix maybe like when it's much closer to the end of the month, because as you all know, Anytix is going to be available until end of the month, or April 1st, whichever you want to call it. And also because we have roulette, it's you know, if you're especially if you really want a grand character, yeah, it's really much better just wait and save this all the way until the end, okay? But if you're picking like maybe like a summer character, a summer character might be a little bit yikes, because I think summer characters might appear this month. But if you're picking like Halloween, Christmas, maybe even Valentine for that matter, I'm pretty sure you should be safe though. But yeah, anyway, that's just a little suggestion. You don't really have to follow. Same goes for this entire video. You don't even have to follow what I said, or even take my word for it. If you want to get whatever characters you want, just get them. You don't need me to tell you who to get. Just choose with your heart, man. Okay? Okay. Subtickable characters should not be included. And yeah, another thing is that I don't think you really want to pick a normal subtickable character for this. If you are, go ahead, I guess. That is your money, right? It's not mine. Okay. So Percival is pretty shit. Beatrix, Summer Beatrix is still okay. She still can do something, but I wouldn't really warrant for Anytix for her, so no. Altair is kind of okay, but his skill kit still relatively is a little bit clunky with what Fire has at the moment, so probably not. Azazel, I think I still see people kind of use Azazel for Fire Burst, but as we all know, Fire Burst is still kind of shit in comparison to, you know, other elements, right? So, yeah, so kind of yikes right at the moment. So Summer Kubira is definitely a very, very good contender because she's probably one of the best fire characters at the moment anyway, based on what she does. But then again, you only technically use surges for like full auto stuff most of the time. So yeah, she does a lot of like nukes and nukes and nukes. Yeah, she just does a lot of nukes, and the only thing you need to do whenever you full auto, you just need to press the third skill once and that's it. Yeah, and then you just get free extra damage and shit. So it's pretty nice. She get a little bit of a little bit of DOT, a little bit of lesser charge bar gain, but honestly, it's fine. It's okay. It's not that bad. She's still pretty fucking strong. Her weapon is also pretty fucking strong because people still use that in Primal. Because also, if you're also wondering, Fire do not have a weapon like this yet for their specific rank character. Who knows? Maybe in future they have it, but yeah, Fire doesn't have one yet. That's one main reasons why people are still using their lovely Kubira's weapon. Okay. Shit. Pretty whatever as well. Nemone is also another fucking godlike character to date. The reason why is because she gives a lot of sustain. By that I mean it's a special buff thing on Ogi. Whenever she Ogis, she buffs this your entire team full of that Nemo power, man. So basically, I don't remember the others. The only thing I really remember is the defense. Because at the defense, you get like what? Was it 50? Yeah, it was 50. Okay. Yeah, so 50. You get 50% stack, which is very, very significant. You also get 50% attack modifier. But you have to remember that her attack modifier is only normal. So it may not be as significant on Primal, but honestly, like, you really just use her because you want that defense buff and her very, very wonderful S2 of hers, because her S2 basically just gets automated. She just automatically, you know, activates her second skill whenever she takes she doesn't take damage. And also because she has this skill on her first skill where MC takes all of the hits, well, mostly of the hits, unless it's AoE, away from Nemone, and yeah, she just doesn't get hit, so she can get her S2 stack thingy relatively easy. Yeah, and yeah, she just all around her utility, and she just does a lot of damage overall, all thanks to her continuous nuke every single turn. More or less every single turn, yes. Especially once you hit that 5 stacks thing. Very, very good, yes. Okay. Then, Rakam, you know how he is. Scat Valentine is, I think you only want to use her for the weapon, because her weapon is essentially the garrison weapon, one of the few garrison weapons for fire. But besides Gangster Knife, which is Fire uses as weapon, but that's a subticable one. So end of the day, if you really want a garrison weapon, just stick to that rather than this. It's still okay because, you know, it's freaking big garrison, but I don't think you really need that, to be honest. So, but yeah, Reinhardt, not really. Reinhardt is like he's mostly being used only in like Super Baja or something, and you only use him for his weapon rather. His skill kit is still kind of like on the rougher side. You can kind of use him, but I wouldn't really say it's that ideal. It's okay, because he is very reliant on having fist-oriented team, you know, because of this. And then he has also this is his the thing that allows him to tank really well. He just doesn't die, so it's very, very nice for like Super Baja, for example, that you just want him to tank and shit. But yeah, I wouldn't really suggest you to just go outright, just pick Reinhardt, especially if you have a lot of other characters that you may or may not have yet. Yeah. Izmir is lots of damage on Ogi, very good for OTK, and she looks really nice. Right? Especially her second portrait. You get not just her, you have other characters in the portrait as well. But yeah, she's actually not too bad, but I would only say that she's mostly known for her OTK setup. Just because she has like an unworldly mod. And she does an extra wonderful thing here. But you just really want that unworldly mod, really. So yeah. Izmir is really, really good. Ilsa, she just looks really good. She just looks good. She's just there to be pretty for you. She's not really worth the character at all. Her skill kit is kind of clunky. Her weapon is kind of whatever. Shiva can still kind of be used for like lower level players. You can also use the weapon for like Ogi's oriented setups, but I wouldn't really suggest you to go for anything on this guy, to be fair. And plus, it's a grand character as well, so it's not that great. I think, not to mention, like, Shiva is only really being used with like the lower end players. Like, especially if if you get like a relatively a much stronger side, I don't think you're really gonna use Shiva all that much though. Shiva's skill kit is not really as good as the summer version, because summer version is way superior. Yeah. Grand Mugen, he's super RNG. His weapon is definitely being used just because that he has progression and he has that. So it's really good for like hard raids, you know, like Super Baja, Fa, maybe the upcoming Diaspora, you know, those kind of endgame raids. His weapon is only being used for that particular purpose and for really just long runs, basically, because progression, right? In order for you to make progression, you have to at least play like, you know, more than 10 turns kind of thing, right? So yeah, you have to keep that in mind. Okay. Trumpet emoji is probably still being used until today, just because she's still probably one of the best characters to have for fire in order for you to do some bursting, because as you all know, fire does have an evoker called Alanan, and what Alanan needs is he needs 100 meter to do the so-called, you know, guaranteed triple attacks and echo thingy. And what she gives you is this. So essentially what she does is that she'll give you basically 70% fire what's that meter when she's leveled. It doesn't really show here, but it does give you 70% meter. So if you have that crew buff, that 30% meter, and you just use this, she'll immediately give you 100% meter for your entire team. So that's why. And then she also gives you, well, you do have one assassin here, but the assassin mod isn't really that strong, but well, it is still a free assassin. Can't really go wrong with that. And yeah, if you want her to also use her for OTK, you can, because she has unworldly here. So yeah, it's pretty good. I think her weapon is like kind of whatever though. I don't think she has, yeah, she doesn't have a full limit break yet, so you can probably just ignore that for now. People just use that for the character anyway. Strum, you probably still want the weapon, because her weapon is still very viable until today, because primal and here and there, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. Her character is, yeah, it's okay. You can kind of use her for like full auto stuff. Like, you can switch her shit to on the defensive or offensive. So if you, most of the time, if you really want to go on full auto, you probably just stick to the defensive side, because just, you know, you can delay, and yeah, it just allows you to not get fucked up so much. Yeah. Okay, so that's for fire. Let's go over to water. Yes. All right. So Katarina, you can ignore. This is not 2017, 2018 anymore. You can just ignore Katarina. Summer Izmir, I heard she's supposed to get rebalanced, but it's not out yet, so you can just kind of ignore her as well. Thunderfawn is kind of on the air side as well. Summer Europa is kind of nice, but it's kind of on the air side as well. Rosetta is mostly like she's kind of like a real full defensive version of Summer Alex. It's very similar as hers, but yeah, I would really think that Halloween Rosetta is just more focused towards like actual sustain rather than having like an extra form of DPS, because Summer Alex does do some DPS along the way and sustain at the same time, but Rosetta is just 100% just focused on sustain. That's her skill kit. Summer Shalim is probably also one of the few really better characters out there as well when it comes to full auto stuff, and also when it comes to if you're in a scenario where you just hate using MC, yeah, Shalim is actually really good because her second skill essentially allows you to reduce all of your allies' cooldown and gives you summoners. And what does summoners do? You just can't summon, right? But if you're full autoing as well, you're technically not really using summon at all either way. And you also, if you're removing your MC, you can summon anyway. So why does that matter? And not to mention, she has a very, very good third skill, which is very similar to the likes of Grand Crag, which essentially just doesn't allow the target to to attack. This is a guaranteed hit no matter what. This will never whiff from what I recall. And also, this is one of the so-called skills that water players always use to solo Super Baha. But then again, now we have actual player who soloed Super Baha, right? So maybe I guess that doesn't really matter anymore. But yeah, the old strat before, they used, she's one of the key characters to have for water players to solo the last 10% or something like that. But other than that, she's still a relatively really strong character. And also because you have this kind of Urius type of debuff, where you can kind of use that to solo any of your other, you know, say like Fa or the other endgame raids. She can be very helpful for that specific type of raid, if that's what you're looking for. Yeah. And yeah, just overall, she's just a really good character overall. It's just whether or not you want to use her just for like maybe full auto stuff or endgame raid stuff. It's just, there's even like for full auto stuff, there are probably other characters maybe worth using over her regardless. So it's, end of the day, it's just really up to you. I wouldn't really say it's a bad idea to get her too, but she is actually a relatively good character. Then we have where's the next character? Greya. Oh boy, Greya is like, I think she's I would consider her still okay, but like, she feels so dated now. Like, even before this, Greya's character is mostly focused to like a constant Ogi setup, you know, like back then where you pair her with like Doggo and stuff. Now it's like, you don't really need to do that these days. So like, even if you want to, it's like there are probably other better characters to use from, you know, like Poseidon, Giga Chan, you know. So I wouldn't really say Greya is that worth anymore. So it's kind of like, you know. To me, Greya is still a relatively okay character, just that it doesn't feel like it's worth grabbing her anymore this time in this time of time. So that's why Grand Europa, you don't really use her like as a character these days. You mostly use her for her weapon, because water kind of requires her weapon to really function for Varuna, because, you know, big 2 stamina, you get a lot of crit out of it as well. So Varuna players tend to use them, yes. And then Kolulu, I feel like Kolulu is also one of those characters that kind of like shove aside a little bit, just because like all the recent characters that we've been getting for water has been just mind-blowing, I would say. But don't get me wrong, I would still think Kolulu still is a really good character today, just because that if you're using a team that can Ogi really often, you can technically keep her S1 up and running consistently, and this is a very, very significant buff to your entire team. And plus, she's a water crest character as well. So if you are in the crest type of focus setup, she's definitely your character to use, because she can generate water crests to your team very, very, very fast. So say for example, like before this, usually you want to pair Summer Kolulu with the likes of Summer Cagliostro, because Summer Cagliostro has this first skill where she requires up to 5 water crests in order for her to get this very, very strong buff. It's very, very similar to the likes of Christmas Altair. So they just give you a lot of echo. It gives you a lot of extra damage cap, and then you have like keen and crit and all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, you need like 5, right? 5 water crest stacks. And like I said, who's the other better character to actually stack the crest for you? Summer Kolulu. Summer Kolulu can really, really do that. And despite it says, right, for those who are wondering, despite it says, especially for all the newer players too, it says sacrifice caster's HP. What it essentially does, it reduces, I think, 75% of your, of Kolulu's current HP. In other words, it'll always bring her down to raid HP. It may be very, very significant. It's like, oh shit, you know, like it's reducing so much of my HP. Like, what? Holy fuck! How do you survive? Trust me, she can survive because she has a lot of defense. And not to mention, she has this as well. She has Undying too, I think, or Guts, was it? Yeah. See, she has Guts every time she has Deluge Crest, so she can stay alive. Don't worry. She can actually really stay alive for a really, really long time. And she still does a lot of damage just because she's very enmity focused type of character as well. So don't you worry. And yeah, you get a lot of damage out of Summer Kolulu. She's a very strong character. Until today, she's just very strong, but I just find it like, end of the day, it's really up to you whether or not you want to use that setup or not. Because end of the day, I first find it, she's a little bit brushed aside, like I said earlier. Because, you know, you have Poseidon, you have Doggo as well, you have Lancelot now, you know. There's like all these new limited characters that just, I would say, just outshines what she is. But you still kind of want to use her in other specific scenarios. So I'll just leave that to you whether or not you want to grab them. But I wouldn't really say it's a bad idea to at least try to get her too. So she's still pretty good. Next is Mirin. Mirin is I feel like Mirin is more towards the end game raid type of character again, because she has an all ally sub, if I recall correct. Yeah, so she has an all ally sub. She literally just gets immune to that altogether, because dodge all foes, dodge all attacks from everything. She has all allies, so she can literally just dodge everything. And then she has like a lot of like utility and stuff to go along with it. It's just altogether like a relatively good character to run for endgame raids. And plus she Ogies relatively a lot as well, because, you know, she has 200% meter, you know, all that. Still okay, but I wouldn't really say it should warrant your antics, because this, I feel like Christmas Mirin is very focused on endgame stuff, which really not a lot of people really go for that route. Like, I am going to only do endgame raids, nothing else. Usually what you should aim for is either have like a really good full auto setup, a burst setup, you know, for like Wrestler, Runeslayer, whatever shit you're planning to go for, or even Viking these days, right? Yeah, you probably aim for those instead, and OTK. You don't really just have like a really, really strong setup for endgame stuff, endgame raid stuff. Usually these days you can just leash that shit anyway, so there's really no reason for you to go for that far. Alright, Summer Siegfried. Summer Siegfried is kind of like that. I don't think he's really that freaking strong or any way, shape or form. He's okay. He's like, I don't know what he's trying to do, but you can kind of OTK with him, I suppose. But there are better characters to OTK with anyway, so I don't think you really want to bother with that guy. Summer Monkey is still kind of okay. She has a relatively strong debuff still. And very nice buff. And you also get this very, very strong buff as well that works relatively strong when it's like 10 turn onwards or something. Because, you know, once it ends off, a specific buff will disappear at 10 turns and then you'll do something here and there. But I wouldn't really say that she's like a must-have though. She's more like a spicing on top to what you have. You can use her in like a lot of different scenarios, but mostly I would say in either full auto or maybe in the likes of like endgame raids. But like I say, I think there's probably better characters to run in comparison to her. You probably can still run with her. You just, I don't know, debuff and then just get her out of there or something. You could probably do that. Who knows? Yeah. Next we have Christmas Arulu is like, yeah, I guess you can ignore that. Drang, you just use that for the weapon. Yeah, you just use that for a weapon because weapon just provides the Ogi stuff, and you know water Ogi is still super strong as well. But if you want to go for that, I guess you can kind of need at least 1 or 2 balls. But his character is not too great as well. You kind of use him for like maximum constant non-stop delay works or some shit. Like he's really good at delaying things. So if that's what you're after, then I guess you can kind of work with him. Because I did remember there are specific points where I think in specific endgame raids or even like the Pride of Ascendant fight, one of them, where you can just use him to cheese because he can just delay. Just non-stop delays. Yeah, and then Cagliostro is like, yeah, I think I kind of mentioned Cagliostro already earlier. You're basically only using her just for this, really. Like, I think other than that, you only use her just for her constant multiple dispels in a row type of thing. So like, say for example, if you do not want to get this, you can use your Water Crest to spam this third skill of hers. And if you have Maria, the Invoker, in the backline, you can do more damage. Yeah, you can do more damage and you can do like a very special debuff as well. You know, it's very, very nice. Yeah. And I think that's honestly really about it. You kind of just use Summer Cagliostro just for that particular purpose, really. You don't really use her outside of that, to be honest. Yeah. Wait, this is a subtickable character. Yeah, ignore that. Summer Dianta is nah, I think you can ignore her. She's not that great anymore. She's kind of like a healer, whatever kind of thing. But yeah, you can ignore her. Folia, you just technically use her for a weapon. You can just ignore her character. Summer Naru is, I think she's supposed to get a rebalance too, if I recall correctly. I might remember things wrongly though. So, but yeah, you can just ignore that. Summer Lucio is still probably used until today for water burst setups, just because he has a lot of echo. He has that, and then he can give this more echo to another person. This is 80% echo, if that's what you're wondering. That's a lot of echo. Yeah, and then if you're using Kirin stuff, you can kind of put this buff to another character. So you have 2 characters with crazy amount of echoes. Yeah, so it does like a crazy amount of damage, especially when water does have characters that has relatively good assassin skill. You know, like Uno, Water Zeta, those few things. You basically use him just for that. I think there are some particular scenarios where people actually use his weapon, but I wouldn't say it's too important, especially if you're still relatively on the early side of things. You probably only want to use him for setting up a water burst wrestler kind of theme. But yeah, other than that, you don't really use him all too much because it's not really that great for full auto, let alone OTK or even endgame raid. So Alright, so I guess that's about it for water. So Earth, we're starting off with, is this the first page? No, this is not first page. We're gonna start off with Vera. Vera is... Nah, you can just ignore Vera. Son of On, oh my god! Well, if you want to pick a grand character, and if you have yet to not get Son of On, you should probably just get Son of On, I guess, if you actually still need a grand... If you're really just aiming for a grand character in this particular Anytix. Because Son of On is still probably one of the best characters to have for Earth anyway, just because he has a very, very broken skill on his S1, which literally changed any raid bosses into water. No matter what element they are, he can just change them. Damn, bam, he's water now. And what do you get? What do you get when they are water? You have the element advantage, meaning seraphic weapons will work because they are, well, water. And because seraphic works against water enemies, so and yeah, and he's probably also one of the strongest dispellers in the game because he can remove all buffs. Just removes everything. Yeah, I mean, removes your allies as well, but I think by now at this point you have a lot of buffs these days that does not get dispelled. And also, if you're wondering, if you do have Dispel Cancel on your team, in other words, if you're using his weapon, okay? If you are using his weapon, because his weapon is also very, very strong, because his weapon literally started this tampering trend, okay? His character brought forth the very new mod of tampering, which is this skill cap thing and big supplemental to skill damage. He brought forth this thing. It's very, very strong, and you can also use it as your main hand. Why? Because you get tank and counter effect for 3 hits, and at full limit break, you get Dispel Cancel. It's very, very strong. It applies to all of your party members, okay? It applies to all of your party members. And like I said, if you use his third skill, okay? If you use his third skill, if you have Dispel Cancel, they do not get dispelled at all. You just, eat up your Dispel Cancel buff or whatever. And yeah, you still keep your buffs. Very handy. But yeah, end of the day, he's just outright really, really strong. But yeah, he's a grand character though. Should just spark him, not really anything. But yeah, end of the day, it's up to you. Summer, Valentine Monica. Yes, my biggest regret ever last year. Never again. God, she's so You can use her in, I don't know, you can just use her whatever, where you want. You can technically use her in end game raids if you want to, but not really. It's just I don't know, man. She looks so nice, why? Because I mean, Monica was one of my favorite characters as well in the game, but I had to spark for her. It's just so sad, but honestly, like, her character is just, I don't know, it feels very underwhelming, Even her grand version is kind of as well. Alex, even though her skill kit is still relatively okay, but if you want to get Alex, I think it's just better off you get Summer Alex, because Summer Alex works way better anyway. Yeah, and her weapon, you only use it in specific raids because you get extra HP for her weapon. You get extra HP, so it's one of those weapons that gives you extra crit, the raw damage, and some HP. So one of the ways for you to get HP in a Highlander Primal Titan grid is her weapon or the likes of Leona's weapon, because that one gives a lot of HP as well. And Leona's weapon gives progression, so Is one of those few. You don't really need to go for crit in order for you to really work in Highlander anyway, so especially if you're Titan, so it's not really needed. It's just one of those nice things to have, so not really, no. Summer Rosetta, no. Golden Knight, I would only say just mostly for OTK stuff, really. Her weapon is kinda okay, but nah, I wouldn't really say it warrants for anytics. Leona, I wouldn't really say she's that great either. She's pretty nice as a character. Her character is decent. It's kind of nice, but she does a lot of damage on her own kind of thing. But well, there's a character named Christmas Naru. So I wouldn't really say you need her. If you really wanted a DPS character, just go grab Naru. Not her. So like, you only use her for a weapon, but yeah, like I said, her weapon is mostly for like the... It's very similar to those type of like Mugen's weapon, for example, or even the likes of oh, what? I forgot what other characters. Well, we'll probably get there later. But yeah, because she has progression and she has medium HP and attack. So you just get way more HP in order for you to survive all those big hits in whatever endgame raids and shit. Because at the end of the day, you need a lot of HP to a certain degree in order for you to, you know, not die in one hit kind of thing. You know, Paradise Lost, for example. Yeah. Okay, then next we have that is a Suptixable character, so I'm skipping that. Medusa, Valentine, you can ignore. Zeta Vasiraga Halloween used to be a very, very good character and a sorted out character, but yeah, Christmas Naruna and some other characters, so I think people may still kind of use them. I mean, use this character. Technically them, same thing. They still kind of use them for like full auto Baha HL setups, but it's not that great anymore because these days people just run Wind anyway, and maybe Light. You still do see some people really run like Masquerade, Earth and whatever, but I don't think you really need this, but it still can work. I wouldn't really say it's a good idea to grab it from Anytix though. Christmas Magisa is filled with huge badongas. Yeah, booba. Oh man, so big. Goddamn, so big. But end of the day, I would really say Christmas Magisa is really just known for the amount of dispels that she can do. She has like a lot of dispels just because that she Ogies, and she activates a second skill which allows her to get extra Wasteland Crest, which is the Earth Crest, or the likes of Dispel as well. So she gets a lot of utility. She's a very utility heavy character, but at the same time she can do relatively decent damage just because she can auto nuke, and her S tree is really strong the moment you activate it. So the moment it will get to like 10 turn onwards, is her third skill gets really strong because every time she attacks her, what's the dude's name? Yeah, what's the dude's name again? Yeah, Morax. Yeah, Morax will be alongside with her. So every time you activate this after 10 turns onwards, Morax will always add an extra big nuke after her attack. So she does do relatively high damage because of that, but obviously still falls behind in some other characters when it comes to DPS anyway. But her utility is still something that is still really nice until today, just because she has lots of dispels, lots of meter generation, she has armor, she has refresh, mirror, and crest character. So if you have like a form of a crest character that you can, you know, put in the backline, for example, then yeah, you can actually just run run with her. But honestly, these days you don't really do that anymore, especially like when it comes to like endgame raid, because usually you have to remember Earth has one very strong character that will forever and ever sit in the backline because of the amount of shit he's providing to your team just by sitting in the backline. And his name is called Kame, yeah? And then you basically have one character slot in the backline already fully taken. So you only have one slot left. And a lot of times people just put that as like some other character or Lobelia. Because Lobelia is also very, very strong when it comes to like long raids. And you know, like even hard raids and stuff. Because the amount of shit he's providing is just fucking crazy. So that's why a lot of times you only use her if you have like, well, if you want to make use of like the crest and like all these dispels, all the meter you can get and all that stuff. But I would definitely say one of the biggest problem is that she only shines 10 turn onwards and it takes a while to get there. So it's kind of slow. And not to mention if you do not have like a, how do I say, if you do not have a lot of meter generation from other party members, even though she does have some meter generation, but only applies to her third skill. But you see her cooldown is kind of long, you know. So you do want some meter generation for your team whenever you use her, so, you know, like Octo, Kango, whatever. And the reason why she needs that is because she still is very, very slow in order for you to because you want to get 5 crests every time when you get this up and running, and it's not, you don't really get it that quickly, so you do need at least some form of meter generation just for you to get that, you know. Yeah. So she's still a relatively nice character, but it's kind of hard to say whether she's worth to get it today, you know. So I'll just leave it to you to decide whether she's needed or not. Anturia Christmas is, well, I still have her in the overlay because I haven't changed it since forever. I mean, that's how she looks like. You like that? You like what you see on the overlay? Let's just say she's a very, very big ass word towards MC. She just loves MC like crazy. And you just get a lot of utility to your MC, not really to anyone else. So, and not to mention we do have Viking now, so maybe it's gonna be really nice to have her. I don't know. I don't really have her, so I can't really, you know, justify that. But she's not too bad. She's actually okay. But yeah, you have to really remember that you must have a relatively good MC setup in order for you to really somewhat utilize what she provides. And I guess if you want to also say that her weapon is somewhat decent, because she does provide crit and she also provides stamina, which is really nice, because in a way you can kind of like somewhat forego having Kane's katana, but at the same time it just really depends on what kind of setup you're going for. There is a small healing cap there, but yeah, honestly it's kind of whatever. You really just use it just for the nice stamina and the crit, really, because the crit does provide you like relatively consistent damage. Crit is actually really, really strong if you can get it to 100%. Okay, yeah, all right. And then next we have Yugen. Yugen, you only really use him for his weapon. AK is still mostly used in the Highlander setup. There are some cases where you can actually just forego this altogether, especially if you're using the likes of crit, for example, like the one I mentioned before. You can kind of just ignore this, so it's not like you really need this after all. And when it comes to like Yugen full limit break, it's kind of nice, but I feel like you're mostly using it just for his S3, really, and you know, lots and lots of nukes, Ogi and shit. But yeah, I feel like Yugen, that's really mostly about it. Halloween Eustace, he's just too weak. You can just ignore him. Silva is just more like a backline character. You just swap with someone after a while, and then she just do a lot of damage by just sitting in the backline. That's pretty much about it. Summer Ilna is probably also one of the characters that, excuse me, a lot of people use these days just because of the amount of burst options that she's providing to your team. And she also has she's probably one of, I would say, one of the rare characters to have this type of debuffs, which is very, very similar to the likes of Nia or Nier, whichever you want to call her. So her S3 is super strong, okay? Because the attack and defense debuff is literally capped. All you need to do from 0, just press a third skill and you immediately just get capped on debuffs. You don't need anything else. You don't need any like armor break or whatever. She just caps by itself. That's why Mia's debuff is also very, very strong. That's why you kind of want to kill her off just because of that. Because she does that. It's very, very strong. And then she has the, similar as like Light Fairy, Alanan kind of setup, where if you have full meter, you get you would consume all of your meter. You get echo, nice echo, guaranteed triple attacks, and then yeah, you get shorted. You don't get charge bar at all, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's very, very nice. She's that type of character that you use for bursting. Other than that, I guess you can kind of use in full auto in specific cases, but I wouldn't really say it's worth having at all. Next, we have Halloween Kukurox, or Kukuru, whichever you want to pronounce her name. She's she's very adorable. She's Silva's sister, very cute. Honestly, I wouldn't really go for her. Honestly, I just think her character design is just very, very cute, that's all. She can nuke a lot, but I mean, that's really about it. I just think that, and not to mention she's in Earth, probably has other better characters out there anyway, if you really want to highly focus on nukes anyway, Summer or Yukata Jessica is a very full auto friendly healer. So it's like if you need some sort of sustain like heals and whatnot, especially in full auto, Yukata Jessica can do that, but I wouldn't really say she's good. Summer Alex, still probably the best sustain character you can get for Earth, like especially for endgame stuff. If you want to use a specific outfit for her, yeah, you can just use it on this. I mean, she still does look good anyway in her summer version, so but yeah, she's still very, very strong. She has a lot of sustain. She does a lot of nukes, and she has gravity as well. She does a little bit of debuffs. Yeah, very, very strong sustain character. Metera is Summer Metera. Is it Summer Metera? Yeah, Summer Metera is more towards I would consider her like a TLDR version of her. I would say that she's a Proving Grounds character. To me, that's what she is. Because Proving Grounds character, why I say that is because she's very focused on nukes. And what Proving Grounds needs is that you just need a lot of nukes and just to kill it off quickly. And because she also can reset, and she does CA standby to herself as well, yeah, she does a lot of damage in Proving Grounds. I feel like you can kind of use in full auto as well, but I just find her just probably better off in just Proving Ground type of character. You probably only use that there anyway, so I mean, yeah, if you really like Metera and the Booba and stuff, yeah, why not, right? Alright, Clarice, Christmas Clarice is, you can ignore. Kane, his character skill kit is still somewhat okay. You can still kind of use it, yes, but I think most of the time you only use him for his weapon, because Highlander adds so much. Just his weapon adds just so much, because big, this and stamina and shit. Very, very good. And then last but not least, we have Christmas Naru. I don't think I really need to explain this too much. It's like, she's still probably one of the best DPS for Earth when it comes to bursting, when it comes to full auto, when it comes to, well, basically everything except OTK, really. So that's up to you. Can't go wrong. It's Naru, right? Naru's everywhere now. Just get her. Just get it, dude. Collect all of his seasonal versions. She needs one more now. Alright, that should be it for Earth. Let's go over to Wind. Royal Christmas, ignore Ingwe's Yukata. He's a tank kind of guy, but I just think that he's just better off ignoring his ass. Yeah, Rosetta just recently, also not too long ago, gotten a full limit break, but I guess her full limit break feels kind of mediocre. She tanks relatively well and provides some buff, and I guess that's pretty much about it. That's kind of whatever, really. Both, I would say, like, when it comes to especially like their weapons, right? Rosetta and Lucia is kind of known for that. It's like you probably want to use both of their weapons just for primal stuff, you know? Or maybe for the likes of Lucia, you kind of just use that for like main hand purposes kind of thing. You mostly just use this Love Eternal for the grid kind of thing. But yeah, her Lucia is still kind of okay, but don't really see much of her around these days. So it's, yeah, you mostly see just their weapons, really. John, oh my god. Just no. Trust me. It's not worth it. Not anymore. She got revamped. She got rebalanced. Still no. No. Just no. Grimnir, Gran. You only use Grimnir's weapon. Yeah. Basically, you only use Grimnir's weapon for primal. The character can still be nice, yes, but not really. If you really want to use the character, just get this guy. You know? Because Valentine Grimnir is probably way superior in every given situation. Because he's still pretty fucking strong, even though he's like 2 years old now or something. Yeah. Grimnir is still really, really strong until today. Yeah. Anira Summer. Anira Summer, I feel like she's in a little bit of a special spot because in some scenarios you can actually use her for burst setups just because she does provide like the extra echo, and the passive also provides the extra damage and stuff, but only if you do not have Neo at least 130. Yeah, because Neo is just so much better though, especially if you have Neo at 150. Neo 150 is just way superior in comparison to Anira Summer, so yeah. But you know, if you do not have that, then yeah, I guess Anira can kind of work for burst setups with Summer Korra and Grand Naru, for example. Yeah. Christmas Meteon? Nah, not really. Halloween Vane? Garrison, really? You basically just use him for Garrison, I would say. I would say he's mostly known for his Garrison. You can use his weapon. I think people use his weapon for just the enmity stuff, and I think people also use this main hand for sometimes use his main hand, I mean his weapon for main hand purposes, but I think there is an ongoing thing now where there's people use his weapon for enmity shit because there's like a enmity setup these days for primal, so that's why people are considering using his weapon for that, along with like what, Show's weapon or some shit. Yeah, but if you're really looking for an answer on who to pick, I would guess you're probably not at that point yet, so nah. You just really use him for his Garrison, really. The character itself is okay, but yeah, Garrison, the free Garrison though, just put him in the back line. Summer Koa, Grand Naru. Really? That's really what Summer Koa is. You use her for Grand Naru. If you have Grand Naru and you do not have Summer Koa, I don't know why you are even trying to play Wind in the first place. You need those two to go hand in hand. But other than that, yes, Summer Korra is also really strong because the buffs that she's providing is somewhat permanent. There are some buffs that she's providing is permanent, like this one, this one, which is really helpful when it comes to end game raids, where if you want to solo stuff and whatnot, you can just buff everyone and just eventually kill her off, kind of thing. So yeah, so it's just really, I would say, for when it comes to like Summer Korra, you really just use her in those particular scenarios. Grand Naru's best friend or end game stuff? Yeah. And then we have Vera. Vera is... Wait, this is applicable character. Let's just go next. Summer Sig is... Yukata Sig is... You can just ignore him. Yeah, Summer Sig, you can technically just ignore him, yeah. He's not that great. He's like... He's trying to be like a hybrid tank / DPS type of character, but overall it just sucks. So just ignore it altogether. Summer UL, I mean, goddamn, right? She looks nice, right? That's pretty much it. You just want her for that wonderful home screen. Her skill kit is... Yeah, it's kind of whatever, honestly. You can just technically ignore her. Grand Monica is okay. She's okay, but mediocre, not needed. And plus her weapon is also not that important to have, because her weapon is more towards the CA stuff, which is really not that needed anyway, so you can kind of ignore that. Summer Albert is also somewhat the same as like the dark version, or even, yeah, mostly like the dark version, but yeah. He does a lot of hits. He can go like quad hits or whatever, yeah, quadruple attacks or whatever. It's okay. Honestly, not that great, to be honest. Okay. Alright, so I guess that's it for Win. Now we have Light. But yeah, Melissa Bell Valentine version is relatively good in OTK, because she casts her second skill. Yeah? Get over here. And if I recall correctly, her base cap on her second skill is at least significant enough for OTK. It's pretty nice. It's actually really nice, and not to mention, she's also a very relatively nice tank to use as well, because she has an all ally sub, as you can see in her third skill. Yeah, it's pretty good. She has lots of nukes, lots and lots of nukes, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. But I wouldn't really say is something that you really would need at the moment. No. Excuse me. Oh god, I'm burping so much. Excuse me. Technically, I haven't eaten dinner yet. That's why. I've only ate fucking chips in the last 13 hours. And lots of water, because I'm fucking thirsty from all this talking. Yukata Rosamia is she's okay, but nah, I don't think so. Summer Delafil is Booba, and that's it. Next. Halloween Potato. Blue Pot. You use her to have an extra blue pot. That's it. Alright. Summer Hamel. Alright, so, okay. Summer Hamel is a little bit special this time around, because you can actually have in specific setups for light burst parties that you can actually use them, and they can be really strong. Or you could also use instead of them, there's also... Is she here on this screen, or is it in the last page? Oh, she's in the last page. So you have this Yukata Potato here. She's Zalhalmelina. I just call her Flat Potato because her name is too hard to pronounce. Because her original version she's known for casting flare, so that's why I call her Flare Potato. Okay. So there are in situations where it's actually okay to use this instead of the likes of lmao when it comes to like burst setups. You can either use one of them. It's not too bad, but in some specific scenarios, they are probably better in that regard. When I'm like, what I'm referring to is lmao. There are also in specific scenarios, maybe having Flare Potato Yukata is actually much better, you know? So it's like, these two have that type of role. So from what I can say, if you have either one of them, I don't really think you need to go for the other. So like, say for example, if you already have lmao, right? I don't think you really need to go for the likes of Yukata Potato, for example, vice versa. So like, you can technically kind of use your antics for like someone else, for example, you know? That's why. So they have like a very, very special spot for these two characters. So I technically explained two characters already in there. But yeah, end of the day, they are mostly just used mostly for bursts. Yeah, I wouldn't really say lmao is great in full auto just because her skill placement is really odd. Yeah, the skill placements of hers is really, really odd. Just because that this should have been in front, not this. Like this two, right? This should have been here. This should have been here. They should have swapped these two skills arrangement. Because you're casting this first instead of this. Because this is both yellow. So they go by 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So you want this so you can get this extra echo. You know? So yeah. But other than that, yeah. The weapon, yeah, I don't think you really use the weapon. So next is that we have Grand Noah. So Grand Noah is, I would say, one of those characters that you may want to use the character and the weapon. Why? Because Noah's skill set is very, very nice. Just because of lots of dispels. You have this, very, very strong. And then you get like full meter generation. And you get this permanent buff, where it's a very, very strong buff altogether. It's just, you know, give a lot of extra free damage to your party member. So eventually you can get up, you can just cast that up to 3 characters, you know? Yeah. And then Noah's weapon, Ivory Arc, on the other hand, is also needed when it comes to primal stuff. Because what Ivory Arc does is that it gives you crit and gives you HP. So you get your extra sustain HP and you get your consistency in damage from the crit. But you have to remember that if you're using only 2, as in 2 Noah's Dagger, you need like a minimum of 2 to really make the crit to work. But keep in mind is that if you're using double Zeus, the crit is not 100%. Okay, I can kind of show you. The crit is not 100%. Just keep that in mind. The crit is like what, 99% something or whatever. Okay, so I just removed this real quick. So as you can see, I have 2, right? I have no other crit weapons in here, as you can see. I removed the other crit. So Zeus here, oops. Critical is like 96%. It's not 100%. So you have to keep that in mind. Even though it shows that it's big, right? It's not guaranteed to be crit. But you are technically critting most of the time, so it's not too bad. If you get what I mean. That's one of the main reasons why I am also using the what's that? What's that? I forgot which malice weapon was this, but yeah, this thing. Yeah, I'm using that just because of the crit. You know? I'm really just using that for just that. Okay, and then, oh yes! Summer Zeta! Oh boy. Summer Zeta! Ah yes, Lumi Malice, yes. Okay, so we just tested her earlier. She turns out to be really good. Her rebalance is very, very, very strong. But it's kind of hard for me to say that she's really worth the anytics, you know? Because you do need some characters to go along with her. You need your Kango MC. Maybe you need one extra character to give a little bit more meter. Or if not, just run Kango MC and her alone and probably you still do just fine. But if you have like extra echo characters, you know, like lmao or whatever, or even the likes of Flare Potato as well, the ones that actually provides all the echoes, to go along with her is actually really, really good. Because if you have like MC Kango, right, she can Ogi so often to the point that you can consistently get her assassin up maybe every 4 turns. From what I've tested earlier, if you already seen my video earlier, she can Ogi every 3 turns. So she has 3 turn assassin. Put it that way. It's pretty nuts. It's actually really nuts. Yeah. So I guess if you want that, sure, but I don't really I wouldn't really say that it's really hard for me to say she warrants anything though. So I think I just leave it to you if you really want the character like that. Because to me, end of the day, right, when it comes to burst setups, I don't think you want to use her, because end of the day you still want to use Grand John, because Grand John provides a relatively good assassin modifier assassin to the entire party. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why you must use her. Hers is basically only to herself. She's not really giving herself like crazy echo, like you know, and double strike, that type of shit. And then because Light has like Nehan and stuff, and then maybe if you really want, if you can just use Viking and just use Light Opus, and you can just use the skill, which is because the skill gives you you can just use like Splitting Spirit or whatever shit, right, just to get the meter up, and then you can get like a lot of damage if you want to. Yeah, because you know Viking does do relatively good autos, and then you can give the what's that the echo chain from Belial, so your entire team can double strike. But then again, it's like if you want to go for that, similar as like the Rune Slayer Dark thing, you have Neon. So if you already have Neon, like there's really no reason for you to do that. That's why it's kind of hard for me to say she actually is good for bursting. I mean, she's kind of nice for like full auto, don't get me wrong, but like bursting is like you know. Summer her last is no. She looks good though. Booba, nice EX pose. That's pretty much about it. Lucio, well, you use his weapon for primal. That's really about it. Lucio is kind of okay as well to use. Summer Noise is a CA kind of guy, but not really. Nah, not really. I wouldn't really say Noise is really that great these days. It's just yeah, he's pretty dated right now. But yeah. So next we have Christmas Metera. Christmas Metera is pretty dated as well. So just I probably advise ignoring her. So Grand John, I just mentioned it. You basically use her just for that, the bursting setups, if that's what you need. And her weapon is similar as like the progression shit. So you basically use it just for progression. But honestly, it's not as strong as the likes of Leona's weapon, because Leona's weapon is big progression and like medium attack and HP is pretty nice. But instead, she gets big multi attack and medium progression. So it's kind of whatever, really. Next, we have Vera. Vera's case is like, I don't really think you really need her anymore these days, her character. And her weapon is kind of okay if you want to use as main hand purposes. You wouldn't really go out of your way to just borrow this thing though, because it's kind of more towards Ogi type of setups. So it's, you know, it's not too important to have, especially if you're trying to build a primal setup going, yeah. So it's not too important. The important ones I would say, if like you want to get it going, is just having like Eden's and the likes of Ivory Arc. That's really about it. Halloween Haley is, unfortunately, I would say she's dated right now. She used to be the #1 character to have when it comes to light bursts, but because recently we got what's that? Yukata Potato, and we have Nehan. She kind of got tossed aside because of that, unfortunately. So, yeah. EO canon thing still kind of dead. Don't really need that. If you want that, by all means. But Anythix though, Lily can kind of ignore these days. Light Shiva, you probably want him for Guild War. TLDR of Light Shiva is that I would definitely say that he just essentially gives you... He does a lot of damage, #1, yeah. He does a lot of damage. #2, I would say that he's literally your walking seraphic weapon, okay? Because he does provide a lot. Basically, much, I would say even higher than like a normal full limit break seraphic weapon. You don't even need an Ultima for that. He's literally a really strong seraphic weapon. It's good just because, yeah, you can remove one weapon. Imagine that. So like, say for example, like the one earlier you saw on my grid, right, where I could essentially just remove a seraphic weapon so I can cap my crit, for example. You know, that's really nice, isn't it? So yeah, Light Shiva or Summer Shiva is actually really good because of that. And the stuff that he's providing as well, the veil, the heals, the damage, the Ogis he's providing is just really strong. Yeah. Yeah. That is a subtickable character. I'm ignoring that. Okay. And then Makira Christmas is, I would say she's... If you want to really... Like, the TLDR for Makira is that if you want to make your EO cannon strat even stronger, probably you want to use Makira. Yeah. I guess that's pretty much how I would sum it up. Like, because Makira's Christmas version is relatively nice, but the problem is that if you really want to really make use of that, you have to manual with her. And a lot of times, you wouldn't really do that, right? Unless you want to use it for like endgame raids and shit, then yeah. Because the buffs that she's providing is actually relatively nice, you know, like this one. This is really good, you know? Yeah, and then you have this very helpful passive. You also have this very helpful passive, you know? It's really strong, you know? And yeah, like I said, if you're also using the EO cannon thing, she does make it basically a lot stronger kind of thing. But I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say that she's worth it though. But yeah, it's like I would definitely think like her I would say like her third skill buff is just really strong, just because you can have like a permanent buff that lasts forever, undispellable. What more can you ask, right? You have attack buff, you have defense buff, you have a free nuke, all that shit. What more can you ask for, right? It's so nice, right? But yeah, it's like one of those characters, like I said earlier, you're just really reliant on like just those specific setups. Like you wouldn't really use those characters for any other things, because it feels kind of like a meme if you do, right? So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a good idea, but you can though. I mean, don't get me wrong, end of the day, you just pick whatever you want and just use whatever that you're most comfortable with. But yeah. Christmas Mary, OTK mostly, but nah. Anglo Veil Valentine. Oh boy, Aniki. Ah yes, Aniki. Oh, Aniki. Ah yes, Percival's brother. Oh man. God, he's still so strong until today though. He's so strong until today because he's super nuke heavy. Super nuke heavy provides crest. And he can he can reduce his cooldown much harder if you're using the likes of MC Kango, for example. Because he has a wonderful Ogi that allows him to reduce his cooldown whenever he Ogis. And also to mention, he also has his third skill, where he resets his first two skills and gives himself meter. It may say, this is supposed to be 7 and 6 turns by the way. In this third skill, it may say 10 turns, but if you're Oging a lot, that'll be much lower, right? And yeah, so he does give you really nice crest as well. I mean, because, you know, you get extra crest as well. He has very good crest generation, but he also has very nice stuff from his crest, because his buffs that he's providing to your party is very reliant on the amount of crest that he has. So if you have all crests, all 5 crests, you're giving all of these to your party members. That's pretty sick, right? And you're, like I said, you are reducing the cooldown of that shit. You're reducing the cooldown of that shit, and you're consistently giving this to your entire party. How is that weak in any way, shape, or form? You know? And then, okay, the other best thing about him, he doesn't have any form or consume crest. He doesn't have any mechanic that consumes crest. Once he's at 5 crest, boom, you're done. He's just shooting out motherfucking nukes after nukes, man, okay? No, because you see, his second skill is so insane, okay? Because he hits. Wait, how many hits is that? I know he hits a lot of times, but I think it's like what, 10 hits or some shit? Right? I think he does like 10 hits or something. And he debuffs every single time he hits. So it's like if you have problems trying to get like the so-called multi-hit shit going, right? Dude, this shit is fucking nuts, okay? Yeah, it's kind of funny too, because like, yeah, like our boy here in chat here said, like, if you have the life update up, if someone uses this skill when he's at max statics, you can see the live message thing covers like half of your screen. It's pretty funny. I wonder if they're gonna fix that though. I feel like that shit is just pretty, I guess it's a little bit disruptful. I guess it's disrupting your shit or something. But yeah, end of the day, really can't go wrong with Valentine and Anglo Veil. It's just really strong, okay? I would definitely say that he's still probably the one of the few characters that you may want to use until now. Full auto or whatever shit. Like hard raids, all that stuff. He's just freaking amazing. You know? Heck, I would even say that he might even be the character that you may want to use for the full auto, the safe full auto, Nightmare 150 some shit. I don't know. You know? Yeah. Aniki though. Okay. And then Yukata Potato. I think I just technically already mentioned that or explained what she has in the beginning. But for those who also missed out, she does have a relatively nice field effect. Yeah. So it's pretty nice. And then she does do that. Extra damage cap, echo here and there. Yeah. So it's very nice. Excuse me. Okay. So that's for light. Now, our very last final element. Let's go to dark. Alright, okay. So dark, we're starting out with Black Knight. So Black Knight has a full movement break. Is relatively nice because she can double dispel, double delay, all that stuff. Can sub someone, which is really nice. Her weapon is relatively okay as well, but wouldn't really say it's that great to go for, especially for Anytix. And then next we have Olivia. Olivia's character skill kit is still relatively okay, but it falls off very hard right now when you have Leech, you have Fidel, you know. Yeah, and her weapon is still somewhat being used to a specific degree. So like, put it this way, I would say her weapon is gonna be mostly used if you're lacking in like how do I say Shalim's Axe, for example. If you are using the double PNS setup or double pain and suffering, whichever you want to call it, you would want to use like Shalim's Axe, right? Because Shalim's Axe gives you the raw damage and crit. So you have the extra crit, so you can deal much better damage, consistent damage overall. But if you do not have that, you can technically go with Fallen Swords as well. But I feel like you shouldn't really aim for that. But because for my case in particular, I barred them like fucking years ago, so I'm just using that as like my pseudo how do I say placeholder before I actually get my second set Shalim X, for example, you know. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of how Olivia is. Orchid is kind of like the same it's kind of like the same as like Black Knight, I would say. You kind of use Orchid because Orchid is still somewhat usable as a character to a specific degree. You can use her in full auto. You can also use her in like burst setups now because, you know, Runeslayer can kind of use her because her threat skill give you an extra consistent shield and buff to your team, so you can get consistent damage kind of thing. You just kill her off, blah blah blah. And then she still technically has one of the best Dark Dagger weapons to date anyway, because Parazonium does give you echo and multi-attack from Ogi, so it's still definitely notable until today. But like I said, grand characters, I think you shouldn't really aim for them. So Christmas Rosetta, right? Yeah, that's Christmas Rosetta. Christmas Rosetta you can just ignore. Shalim, nowadays, like I've emphasized so much earlier, nowadays you only use her weapon. You can technically still use her. You can, but I feel like most of the time you only use her just to get the debuff in, because she does still have a very nice permanent debuff where, you know, just press that and just leave it there. You know, it's very helpful. Yeah, so it's still nice. And then you can just put dodge on like 6, for example, just so he has a free nuke or whatever he gets hit or something, or get targeted or whatever. And then her third skill is pretty handy in specific situations. But yeah, a lot of times you only really just use her axe rather. You don't really use her character like for like the long run. Like she still is pretty good for like OTK, but she requires like buttons to press to really fully utilize her in OTK type of scenarios, you know. But yeah, Halloween Cack is, from what I recall, she's kind of okay now, but it's kind of hard to say. It's dark, man, so I wouldn't say she's that great to aim for now. Valentine Clarice, honestly, until today, I would still say that she's actually a really good utility / sustain type of character. Just because that she can gravity, she can delay, she can dispel, she can give you meter, she can give you CA specs, she can give you mirror, she can give you armor. She can give you a lot of things, including love. She'll love you. I mean, just look at her second portrait, right? God damn. Yes, you know, she's, I mean, to be fair though, she's actually still really good. Like, you can definitely see her still being used in like endgame raids because of the amount of stuff that she's able to provide in those type of scenarios. And yeah, the delay is just really, really helpful for the most part, you know, because she does delay on Ogi, right? And then she can double dispel when you reach turn 10 onwards, if I recall correctly. And then she can also aim for like a double try on gravity if you miss for the first time. But there are some specific points where both gravities will miss anyway. So yeah, but yeah, double dispel can go wrong with that. But yeah, you do get the turn skip when you use Clarice S3, which is dispel skill. So just keep that in mind. Very, very good nonetheless. But there are also, I would definitely say that skill is also good because it technically allows you to like play with like the turns a little bit. So say for example, you want to have the boss, whatever boss that you're fighting against, to Ogi in the following turn, and he's like maybe like two bars away or something, two charge bars and 2 diamonds away, for example. You press that, it goes by 2 turns, right? So it'll immediately be the next turn rather than you have to wait for like another turn after. You get what I mean? So yeah, you can actually play around like the turns if you have her. But yeah, it can be a little bit confusing at times because, you know, maybe you're not that great at the game yet. But I feel like I shouldn't have said that, but yeah. But you get what I mean, right? Yeah, I'm moving on, alright? Yukata Antura, goddamn, she looks good. I mean, almost as good as the Christmas version on screen. She loves MC as well, but I would definitely say like, because this is Dark we're talking about, right? You kinda just get her for a skin at this point. You don't really need her all too much. She's nice, yeah. Because her skill set really relies a lot on dodging, very similar to her original version, as in the Fire version. Her skill set is very similar to that because Christmas Antura skill set is like, I would say it's totally different in comparison to this Yukata version and the Fire OG version. So, but just that, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say that she's actually really good today. She's still nice, but well, nah. Okay, Freezy is a normal character, so ignore that. Zoe, I think I mentioned this in the previous video already, technically, in the anniversary impressions video that I said, you know, when it comes to like the referring to the grand character RNG ticket thing. Because Zoe is mostly just used for enmity setups, where these days enmity setups is kind of like a thing in the past for especially primal setups these days. So you don't really need her all too much. But the difference, I would say, I think I'm just gonna remind you guys again, the difference when you want to do a burst setup, right? If you want to try to set up a burst for Dark, is much easier for you to go for enmity type of setups. It's a lot easier to set up just because that the characters required is not so super limited heavy. If you have the likes of like Fidel and Leech and like primal shit, then yeah, just go for that rather than Zoe stuff, you know? Because you technically only, like, if you really want to go for the old school Restless setup, you can still burst relatively fine, yeah. But you only need like Zoe, you only need 6, Predator, and Mia. You see, all these characters are not really limited heavy, right? While in comparison to the other one, you need Belial's keys, you need Leech, you need Fidel, you need maybe the likes of Orchid or maybe some other characters which you don't really need to kill off or whatever. But yeah, you need Leech and Fidel, and you need the grid to go along with it. But like for Zoe's case, right, if you have the characters, you can actually just use Magna along with it. So there's really no reason for you to really invest so much in dark if you want to go for the whole, what do I say? How do I say? The burst setups. Like Zoe's the investment to go for burst setups in dark is like Zoe's like down here now. If you want to go like the really really good shit, is like up here, but it costs way more expensive because especially like you need PNS, you need Shalim's Axe, you know, you need like yeah. It's fucking expensive. Yeah, you need those characters as well. It's expensive as hell. You need Agonize as well too. Dude, it's fucking nuts. You need Babu Summon too. If you don't have Babu Summon, how the fuck are you gonna do that? It's not easy, man. So that's why it's like, if you want to do like the whole easy way, if you want to burst in dark, a much cheaper way, yeah, Zoe is definitely still doable, yes. But, a very big but, okay? You may need a good ping to actually race with those guys. Just saying. Because you need a lot of buttons. That's probably one of the major downsides about Zoe these days. Because the Rune Slayer setup for Dark these days really requires very little buttons for it to work. So, yeah. But yeah, once again, it's Anytix and it's a grand character, so yeah, not really worth it. Okay, next we have Summer Amira. Summer Amira is I would definitely say you see her more in OTK setups because her OTK is really good because yeah, because she has Unruly Ogi, yes. Very strong. So she can easily hit. She's one of those characters that you can easily hit 6.5 mil the hard cap in normal stuff super easily. So, besides that, yeah, she does have some stuff, but like, yeah, you know, she has all ally sub and shit. It's kind of nice, but like, I just feel like you probably see more use of her in just OTK really, because like I said, you know, like normal setups, you can kind of rely on other characters that really does that kind of shit, if not better, for that particular purpose. You know what I mean? So, you don't really need that. And then next we have Meg. Meg is kind of like, I guess to put it simply, Meg is kind of like, she wants to be Predator, but end of the day, Predator is still better. And Meg is also, Summer Meg is also a character that is very somewhat reliant on you having summer characters in your lineup. So if you're not really using summer characters that much, she's kind of pointless. But at the same time, despite that, Meg's requirements to do that in order to buff herself up, if I recall it correctly, she does that. She only need one character, I think. If I recall correctly, she only really needs one character to really get like relatively nice buff to herself. You know, I don't think she needs that many swimsuit slash summer characters. Yeah, but anyway, that's really entirely up to you. I wouldn't really say she's worth it though. But yeah. Anyways, next is Tabina. Oh man, Summer Tabina is like, so good, man. The Taha Masala, man. So her weapon is also kind of relatively used these days because very very strong, and also it allows you to activate enmity. So you have like some form of enmity at the start. A lot of people these days say that Masala, her weapon, is essentially the Gisla replacement. So instead of you using Gisla, you're actually using this weapon instead nowadays. Yeah, that's what people have been doing rather. But regardless, besides a weapon, the character itself is probably, well, she's a really, really strong character because she nukes like crazy and, well, Booba, right? I mean, she looks great, right? But yeah, she nukes like crazy because Ogi, she activates her second skill. I mean, her first skill, not second skill. What her first skill does is that she automatically refills her arrow. And so basically every time you Ogi, she'll automatically allow herself to automatically nuke at the end of turn without you needing to press her second skill. Because the second skill is similar to the likes of her OG version, or if not similar, like kind of like Urias but minus the nuke. Because her second skill does nuke and she does the, you know, the Urias type of debuffs kind of shit. Yeah. But she automatically casts her second skill if you did not if you have like arrows remaining, you know, because it consumes an arrow. But you see, at the end of turn, if you have one or more arrows, you'll automatically cast this. So essentially, it's also really good because it's very full auto friendly, and she nukes so much because she has dodge from S1, and whenever she dodges, she automatically nukes as well, as you can see here. So not only whenever she Ogis, she casts her S1, she dodges as well. She casts another set of nukes. So she nukes a lot. Like a lot. And her third skill is also really nice because, yeah, you get extra supplemental damage and skill specs. But the only problem is that you need to be in a party where, you know, you don't get hit that often. So you can use her with 6, and well, 6 does nuke relatively often as well, so it's pretty strong. But like these days, like the real shit is just having 6 and Tabina to do the Ogi. She's really strong in OTK setups. She's really strong in OTK setups. She's really strong in full auto setups. She's also very strong in raid and endgame raid setups as well. Because the debuffs that she can provide for you, essentially, yeah. And she has a lot of sustain on her own because if you have like a lot of meter generation, aka Kango, because Kango meta, she can Ogi a lot, and she's just surviving all very well on her own because she has a lot of dodges. Because not only you get dodge on Ogi because it auto casts on her for her first skill, she auto casts that. You can manually cast that as well. So if you're playing manual, it also works so well as well because you can actually save that dodge if she doesn't get hit, for example. But yeah, she works so well in full auto and Ogi setups. Like a lot of times, if you want to do like the min max Ogi setups, you need her. So yeah, you can't really go wrong having her, really. She's just really fucking strong. Yeah. And yeah, plus Booba, right? Yeah, end of the day. I feel like Tabina is like... honestly, it's funny because, okay, so... Tabina is one of those characters I originally did not like at first. Okay? I originally did not like her at first, but... because we've been doing like fun stuff, and then I have a crewmate that always doesn't have like a specific character, so he decided to use the OG Tabina. It ended up just being a meme within our crew, and then I just ended up liking her because of that. It's kind of a funny story, but yeah, she is a really strong character regardless. But yeah, that's Summer Tabina, yes. Lady Grey! Oh man, Lady Grey, huh? Halloween Lady Grey, man. It's kind of sad she got like pushed aside so fast though, you know? Because Lady Grey used to be like, when she got released, okay? When Halloween Lady Grey got released, she used to be like that. She has like, to put it simply, she's like Summer Jan. She's like Summer Jan on release. She was so good on release. 1 or 2 months later, bam, she's like out. It's so sad. She was so good then, and then they just shove us aside because, I don't know. I mean, then yeah, like now you have like fucking Leech and shit, so what's the point, right? Grand Fairy, you can technically kind of ignore. It's not really that great. I mean, yeah, grand characters again, like I said, you can technically just ignore. But yeah, Ray, cannot go wrong with Ray until today because Her S2 is so strong. She swaps into the bag, gives that buffs to the character, gives lots of damage, extra boosts of damage, and blah 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 and stuff. And her, I guess, if you really want to use harps and stuff, her weapon is a relatively good main hand as well to use if you're a harp based, harp focus type of class, like lumberjack, rising force, illusion, whatever you want to use really. And last but not least, Summer Danwa. Just ignore her because she's hot garbage. So yep, that's the end for all 6 elements on the characters. And then I guess I'll just briefly mention about the summons. First one is Macula Summer. Macula Summer is that type of summon where it gives you extra meter and shit, but it's not really net needed. So yeah, you can only get her during summer. And then the where's the next one? Summer Yugo and Summer Setter is kind of like whatever, not really that great. It's okay, but it's anything, man. I wouldn't really suggest you to pick a summon, man. It's better to pick a character. But yeah, if you really want to pick a summon, yeah, I mean Rose Queen is one of those. Is definitely one of those summons that is definitely usable. You definitely want to like the end game setup, burst setup for win is to have Rose Queen Summer. Use Rose Queen Summer. You do your Naru shit, Summer Kowa, whatever. Bam, just get a fuckload of damage. Done deal. Because she gives you echo to everyone. She gives echo to everyone. Who else? Athena, Freya, Kaguya I can ignore. Sariel can ignore. Tiamat you can kind of ignore. But it's, yeah, I mean it's okay, but I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to justify that, to be honest. Mandrake. Yeah, Mandrake is okay, but oh man, it's a summon though. I wouldn't really do that unless you really want to min-max your shit, because you get Dispel Cancel and you also get the stamina when you get full limit break for Mandrake. So it's kind of nice for burst setups. You just put that in your sub aura slot, for example. But yeah, you don't really want to go for this unless you really want to go like push for endgame burst setups for Earth or some shit. That's, you know, pretty much about it. But yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah. Yeah, weapons you can ignore because anything. Okay. Yeah. That's it. We're done. We're done. We covered everything in almost 2 hours. But I guess if I want to give you guys like an extra suggestion is all I can say is that if you really cannot decide on what you want to pick, my easiest solution for you is to just look at Guild War. What Guild War are we having next? We are getting light favorite next month. So just look at light characters like Shiva, you know, Valentine Anglovale, for example. You know, those few options that you can consider if you haven't gotten yet. Yeah, those probably might help you a fuck ton. So yeah, if you just really cannot decide, my easiest solution always is to just look at Guild War. Just follow Guild War. So like even like normal Suptix, for example, right? Not any ticks, normal Suptix. Just pick the one that follows according to Guild War. Like maybe like upcoming next time, for example, like water favorite Guild War. Just pick a water character. It's just that simple. If you really can't decide. But end of the day, just follow your heart. Pick whatever that, you know, when you just look at the character, if the character gives you Doki Doki or something in your heart or whatever, then just go for the character. Who cares? You don't really have to follow whatever I told you, you know? Simple. Just pick whatever that you like most. Because end of the day, it is your money. It's not mine. I'm just here to help you decide which character is somewhat okay. Especially if you're wondering, you want like a a very summarized version of the said character rather than going towards my, you know, said impressions or whatever back in the day or whatever. Because maybe it might be a little bit different now compared to then. You know, my impressions can be a little bit different at that time. Yeah, I might say things differently at that time compared to now because, you know, it's been so long already or some shit. The meta has been shifting, those kind of stuff. Yeah, you know. So, yeah, like I said, end of the day, your money, your call. So, till then, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, you guys find this video helpful in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate you coming in over to come and watch this video. I would totally appreciate you hitting the like, subscribe, or share this video anywhere or whatever. And yeah, comment your favorite character or what you pick as and shit. Maybe I'll read it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe I'll read it on stream one day. Yeah. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video on the stream.